Hi, my name is David Dowdy. I own Action Coach Lake Norman, your local business training and education company, and I am thrilled to have Elsa Palmer-Oden on the line with us today for the Business Spotlight interview. And Elsa owns reiassist.com, and just thrilled to, yeah, Elsa, welcome to the show. I appreciate you being on here. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your company?
Well, thank you for having me on here today. Basically, I started this business 13 years ago, and it was a fluke. God put me in the right place at the right time, basically. I had gone to a real estate event in which most of the people, well, I should say not most, but quite a few people in there were already clients of mine. I was doing virtual assistant work for them as an independent contractor. And well, the guru in the room realized what I was doing and decided to announce to a whole room full of people that I had an army of virtual assistants ready to assist them. So I had to throw the business together. And it was pretty much an overnight thing. Go get the domain, go up to the hotel room, go get the domain set up, and get everything going. So it was kind of interesting startup. So there was a lot of mistakes to be made along the way. Um, but I built it up, and it's a matter of training virtual assistants, which are independent contractors, and I only contract Americans. I do not go overseas for this. And that was one of the things that set us apart. Real estate investors and other businesses wanted to go the cheap way and go overseas via virtual assistants. And I wanted to keep it here in the US. And my goal was to be able to put people to work that couldn't typically work outside the home due to disabilities, homeschooling, caregivers, that sort of thing. And due to their normal schedules, they couldn't hold down a regular 9 to 5 job. So I was going to train them and put them to work and help small businesses grow at the same time, because through our services, a small business only has to pay for actual time work,
Mm.
not a 40-hour work week for somebody to be in there playing games, talking on the phone, bathroom breaks, all that. You're only paying for actual time worked. And this also saved businesses from office equipment. They didn't have to buy office equipment for the person or do any of that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it was to help small businesses get going out of the gate, a more cost effective way, but also putting Americans to work.
That's awesome. It's interesting. Most small businesses as they get going, it's a slow climb, a controlled growth, we hope, but yours happened overnight. So that's pretty exciting in itself. So so that wasn't planned. I was going to ask you if you had to do all over again, what might you do different now that you know what you know? Um,
Well, I have an organized plan set up and have people ready, staff ready to go.
yeah, that's always recommended, right? But you didn't necessarily have that option when that announcement was made. And you
No.
immediately scaled overnight, so that's pretty exciting. So, what were some of the first things that hit you that you didn't have in place, maybe because of that overnight success, if you will?
Well, for one, I didn't have a real training to teach people how to do this or what to do. Um, so in the beginning, I actually would spend 2 to 3 days a week, 3 hour sessions on, we didn't have Zoom at that point. This was
Yeah,
13 years ago,
yeah.
but still an online screen share program to show them how to do it. But it would take 3 hour sessions with over 100 people on the line at one time. It's whoever wanted a job, I opened it up.
Yeah.
And well, a lot of drop offs and so forth. I went through a lot of struggles when it came to training people, contracting people. That was one of my biggest struggles. I've learned a lot after trying many different processes, and I still struggle, but going through the many different processes, a better way of bringing people on. and
Gotcha.
them understanding the job. And it's a lot of phone work. And that's where you have to want to talk to people. And that's what people couldn't get past. They wanted the work at home, but they didn't really want to be on the phone at the same time.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, I can respect that. So biggest that's a learning in itself, kind of
Mhm.
what the magic button is sometimes. But what other learnings come to mind as you were getting going, either as a business owner or as an employer, as you start helping these folks?
Um, Basically trying to juggle everything at one time because I was setting up the business. I was having to set up branding. Plus, I was having to contract people and bringing in new contracts of new clients. So I had to figure out a organized way to set up these clients. I used the crap out of Google Docs. Google Docs was my lifesaver on all
Yep.
of this to just keep me focused because we didn't have automation stuff at that time. Now I'm a strong believer in automating as much as possible. So that's what I tell a lot of business owners is you need to automate, you know, even if it's certain small tasks in like Zapier and stuff like that, that can spread things out and do things for you that save a lot of that little task time and forgetting things.
Right. Right. Yeah, and there's so many moving parts in a small business, for sure. You
Mhm.
went in with aspirations having a business and building something for yourself, I suppose. What are the misconceptions maybe that you had coming in and how you've addressed those now that you've been in it for 14, 15 years? A lot of learnings there.
Oh, one of the things is learning the different state laws as far as contractors go
Mm,
and using independent contractors. For instance, I cannot contract anybody out of the state of Texas. I can contract anybody else, but I cannot contract anybody out of the state of Texas, or I have to pay unemployment tax on that person, even though they're a contractor. I had a
interesting.
battle with Texas over this one. And because it's a long time relationship, working relationship, they consider that employment. Even though they have their own hours, their own equipment, their own location, doesn't matter. To
Mm,
them, it's long term commitment is therefore an employment. So
got
I have to pay unemployment tax on an independent contractor that
hmm.
was paying their own self employment tax. So
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. Well, so over the years, I'm trusting the growth rate. Well, you've seen a lot over the years, some good times and not so good. Yeah, even in the recent few years with the COVID and everything. How do you
right.
what do you give credit to as far as your own personal growth or business growth through that many years? What are some things that you're
My
doing
parents,
that help? Oh, your parents. Okay.
my parents, since I was 3 years old, they were self-employed.
Uh,
So that entrepreneurship right there. My dad built robots and special effects. So I had a very interesting childhood, needless to say. But growing up around that and helping my mother with the business, just little things when I was a child, filing paperwork and, basic little things, but seeing what they did and the commitments that they made.
yeah.
I had to put in a lot of hours just, and like I saw them, there are nights that they didn't go to bed because they had to reach deadlines. And I went through the same types of struggles. So I knew kind of what to expect in that aspect,
Hmm.
but I still didn't know what all the struggles were going to be.
And they don't come
The
one at a
late
time, right?
nights and the figuring things out, both on the client side and on the contracting side. So I'd have to juggle on both ends of trying to keep everybody happy.
Yeah. So how do you do? Oh, okay, so you've made reference to time quite a bit and those commitments. So what's that work-life balance look like for you, and how do you keep it in check for your own sanity and health, both for the health of the business and the
It's a
health
lot
of yourself?
easier now. Now that things have like settled and, everything has automation and I've got programs in place, it's a lot easier. And now my kids are adults. So that makes it a little bit easier as well. When they were in high school, it made it a little bit trickier.
Yeah.
Um, and just struggling with them taking care of the kids in high school, and through their struggles in their own lives,
Mhm.
and then handling the business at the same time. I really needed my husband's support, and he was a big rock for me on all of that. So he helped through, and he even helped with the business for a while, by my side, or he took dinners and all of that kind of thing. It was just a manage of basically managing everything together.
Mhm.
There were no schedules. I tried to put a schedule together, and Murphy's Law would get me every time. It would never work.
Yeah.
So I would try to do the best that I could on that aspect. But it was struggle trying to keep the kids in line and keep everything going at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Takes a huge level of commitment to see it through some of those challenging times. But your business is based on contractors and developing people and all that. What are some of the qualities you look for in either employees or the types of people you work with or bring onto your team?
As far as the contractors go, a people person. They have to be able to talk to people. We're not doing any selling, so it's not like there's cold call sales types of things.
Hmm.
So that makes it a little bit easier. I know when I first started out, I was a little bit on the shy side. But when this was called out that I had an army of virtual assistants, I was called on stage. So now I'm a public speaker and I love being on stage and I do just fine. But in the beginning, I was kind of shy myself. I didn't want to be talking to these people on the phone,
Hmm.
and it took me a little bit to get out of my shell. And one thing that I've learned is in order to beat any fear that you have to face the fear.
Mm.
And that's basically what I had to do to get up on stage. I had to face my fear of being in public like that. Something my parents could always do, but I never could.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now I'm here. So I've also written co-authored a best-selling book on Amazon with some of my clients. So
Nice.
we did that. And then I was offered the radio show. So I went ahead and I did a live radio show for a while. So all of this kind of helped also build the business and brand the business. And that's one of my key things I will tell any business owner. And when I do a lot of my speaking events, which are for real estate, I always teach them about marketing. And one of the key things about that is branding yourself. You've got to brand yourself. Don't use a cookie cutter website. Don't try to market the same way exactly somebody else does. Set yourself apart and brand yourself separately and why you stand out versus anybody else.
That's
So I'm a
very,
big
yeah.
advocate on branding.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah, the Elsa, the next question I was going to ask you was what words of wisdom or nuggets would you offer somebody that's either coming out of the gates as an emerging entrepreneur, maybe somebody that's been at it for a little bit, that wants to get to the next level. But you mentioned the marketing and the clear branding of yourself.
Mhm.
Anything else comes to mind that you might offer up to somebody that's looking to learn?
Don't expect it to be easy,
Mm.
even in no matter what the market is as far as employment goes. Don't expect it to be easy to get the people you need. Expect there to be like turnover until you find the right team. And I have the perfect team. Most of my virtual assistants that I have now have been with me for at least 10 years.
Wow.
So I don't have the turnover of virtual assistants now.
That's, that's
Once they come on, if they're here for more than a month, they stay.
wow. That's impressive retention. Congratulations on that. You must be doing something right. So,
Thank you.
yeah. So Elsa, what's the
Always treat your employees or your contractors the way you want to be treated. That's one of my key things.
Yeah.
I worked for a staffing company for virtual assistants before I
Mhm.
started my company. And when I did, I also worked on their corporate side a little bit. And I learned some of the ins and outs of the virtual assistant business. So when I started mine, I already knew certain things that I didn't want to do, things
Mhm.
I didn't like as a contractor over there. So I did things better, and my people love it. And some of the people that work with me worked at that same staffing company that I came.
Oh, okay. So
So
you're
they
able to
came
bring
with
some
me
with
when
you.
I started this.
Yeah. So don't expect it to be easy and take care of your people and
Nope,
treat them right.
exactly.
Fantastic.
You're
Well,
only as strong as your weakest person. Somebody told
that's
me that
right.
years ago. You're only as strong as your weakest person. So, therefore, if you have a weak person, you want to make them stronger and work with them to make them stronger.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
That's gold. So what's the best way for somebody to reach out to you if they're interested in learning more about your company? Is it the website, phone? Where
The
would you like them to
website
go?
at reiassistant.com
Okay.
or email me at CEO at reiassistant.com or call 855 to get a VA.
Very good.
Makes
That's
it nice
awesome.
and easy.
It does. Elsa, I sure appreciate you being on this and sharing your experience and your wisdom with the watchers of this. I really appreciate it and look forward to seeing you around town.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.